Hi, I'm Mike Morris. Welcome to another episode of Open Mic, along with my co-host Kevin Dietz. Today we are talking to Assistant Chief Steve Dolant about his 31 years on the police force in Detroit. Some interesting stories you're not going to want to miss. He was also the first person to get the memos about Kwame Kilpatrick, and we're going to talk about those things and a lot more. So stay tuned to a fascinating episode.
Joining us this morning is Mike Morse, Detroit's top attorney. Mike Morse is in here to tell us about the backpack giveaway.
Adapt and change things up a little bit every year.
You know, I was pulling up stuff just that came up with your name. I don't think I saw the Kilpatrick stuff before. I don't remember that part of it.
What happened was I just made inspector. I got made inspector, sent me to number one. Okay, it's fine. And then it was like a dream job. I'm like, hey, this is great. I get to work Tiger Stadium or Comerica Park and Ford Field and the Thanksgiving Day Parade. I'm like, I'm going to love downtown. And I was there maybe 3 or 4 months. So anyway, they sent me to, I had been in charge of discipline. This sucks. So I made a lieutenant, and they took me to the 12th precinct and put me in charge of, I made lieutenant, sent me to 12th precinct, put me in charge of special operations and plainclothes officers. Piece of cake, loved it. The administrative lieutenant left from 12. They sent me to, had me do both, and I could read, write, walk and chew gum at the same time. I could do it. So after a while, they called me and said, you need to go to discipline. I said, I don't want to go to discipline. I don't know anything about internal affairs, anything. They sent me to the disciplinary section. There was a table longer than this with files this high. Somebody had dust on them. They said, you got to adjudicate all these. I said, you're kidding me, right? And some were 6, 7 years old because the discipline system in Detroit Police Department was it's terrible. We had 2 lieutenants who were attorneys, and then we had to deal, with the city and then appeals and everything was terrible. So then I started administratively dismissing some cases. Anyway, I got it down pat. I heard a guy, my sergeant, knocked it out, said, get me out of here. They sent me to homicide, loved it. They had to replace me, kind of dropped the ball. They sent me back to discipline. Boom. I make inspector out of discipline. I'm like, this is, okay, downtown, great. And Gary Brown comes to me and says, I want you to go to internal affairs. I don't know anything about internal affairs. No, thank you. He goes, you don't understand. You're going to internal affairs. Okay. I go to internal affairs, and the first day I'm there, there's a piece of paper. It's a piece of paper. And look at this. And it's about some officers from Kwame's staff who got in a car accident and didn't report it, and they got the cars fixed on their own. I'm like, wait, what the hell? Okay, well, I was due for vacation, and before I go on vacation, get another piece of paper from another officer who ended up eventually suing. I can't think of his name offhand. And things are going on with Kwame's personal police staff. Okay. Get back from vacation, there's another piece of paper, several pieces of paper about a party. Okay, we got to investigate this. Something ain't right. I'm here for a reason. I got a sick feeling why I'm here. The other person didn't want to do it, whatever. So I remember I had this thing all down to one memo, 3 or 4 pages, and I went to Gary Brown. And if you know Gary, he's an ex-Marine, no-nonsense kind of guy. And he's one of those people that multitasks. And I said, hey, boss, you got to look at this. Yeah. Kind of glanced at it, and goes, sit down. Okay. Sat down, he's looking, he goes, are you serious? I said, yeah, that's why I brought it to you. He goes, okay. That night, he took it, I think, to either the chief or the mayor, I'm not sure what it was. And a week later, I get a phone call on a Friday night from my deputy chief. He says, be in the chief's office Saturday morning. Okay, what's going on? He goes, I can't tell you. Well, I didn't know they had fired Gary the night before. So I get there Saturday morning, and the chief was Jerry Oliver at the time, and he was out of town. And he won a conference call, and he said, are you serious? You're investigating the mayor? I go, well, wait a minute. He goes, no. An amoeba has more sense than to investigate the mayor. What the hell's wrong with you? So I'm investigating the officers there. They're not following protocol. Who else are you investigating? I said, well, I got other cases internal that, One was a city councilman that was involved in the casinos. There was some shady stuff there, we thought. He said, okay. He goes, I want you to go back to your office and come up with all the files that you think I need to see. No problem. So I spent Saturday getting the files together. Came in Monday, denied access to my computer. So that's odd. Denied. I go to my boss, the commander. He goes, well, I'm on. No problem. I said, do you sign off your computer on Friday? He goes, well, no, I never signed my computer off. I said, well, it's internal affairs, you should. But so I made some phone calls, and I got down to a guy who was a sergeant. He said, please don't tell me. He goes, I had to turn you off, take you offline. Please don't make me tell you who made me do it. I said, come on, man. I mean, I'm an inspector, you're a sergeant. He goes, I'm sorry. It came from downtown. Okay, so I called a commander downtown, and she said, let it go. Don't let it go. I said, I can't get on my computer. I can't do any work. I go to my commander. I said, don't shut off that computer. Because the very first day on Monday, the entire building had been denied access to the computer. Because there's internal affairs discipline. Everyone in the building had been denied. The second day, they're getting their stuff back, and I'm not. On the third day, he shuts off his computer, and he can't get back on. They went through my files, deleted some. I found this out when I finally got my stuff back, because I went to the assistant chief's office. I said, what's going on? He says, what are you talking? The assistant chief didn't know. It was, Tim Black. He's from Arizona. He came with Oliver. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, I've been denied access to my computer for a week. I can't get on. That doesn't make any sense. I said, I know it doesn't, but that's what's happening. So when I got my computer back, some files were gone. They'd gone through everything. So subsequently, my commander, who's a great guy, a man of great integrity, he almost had a breakdown. It was heartbreaking. So he took some time off and put another guy in there, and then they transferred me out. I got transferred 12 times in 2 years, just moving me back and forth. I was like, you know what? I didn't do the right thing. I did what was right. The right thing would have been to say, oh, it's the mayor, don't touch it. But and I'm not investigating the mayor. I'm investigating the officers. And it was really hard at home and stuff, but I made it.
Wow. I mean,
Sorry.
That is a fascinating story, and so there's a million questions that
Right.
I have. I mean, how many years of an officer were you before you were transferred to internal affairs?
Oh gosh, let's see. That would have been in 2003, I believe. So I came on in '85. I made lieutenant in '99. Got promoted. I want to say I got promoted in 2002. Went to internal in 2003. Because right after I went there, when this whole thing was going on, my dad passed away. It's like bam, 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 piling on me. And then I was transferred to, I want to say narcotics, maybe. I got transferred.
But you were a cop for
a long time,
almost 20 years.
Well, yeah.
And you said you made a comment that you think that's why you were transferred there. Do you have any idea, as you sit here today, why you were transferred there?
To internal. Yeah, they wanted someone to. Gary Brown trusted me. He said to me, I want you to come here. I like your work ethic. I trust you. You're a hard worker. Okay. And then
Was it that no one else wanted to touch this allegation
I don't
against
know.
the mayor?
Honestly, I have no idea, because I got this paperwork in, like I said, 3 different pieces of paper. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know if the people that were investigating it went to their superiors, and superiors said, don't touch it, but it ends up on my desk. And I go, hey, and Gary, to his credit, said, we got to do something about this.
So can you explain? Because there were 2 kind of investigations or allegations. There's allegations about I think it was Michael Martin. Is that his name?
Yeah, yeah.
And he was using the car, and maybe he got in an accident and didn't do some things. There's another report from Harold Nelthrop that said that he believed that either a party happened at the mansion or there was things going on at the mansion that were inappropriate. Right.
Right.
Did you give them any weight, equal weight, no weight? What did you do with them?
Equal weight, because Nelthrop, that was his name. Nelthrop had one of the papers. I got a complaint on Martin. There were 3 different. I should have brought it on. I made copies of it.
Smart.
Whatever. I don't know how smart it was, but I made copies and I put it all together. I had my lieutenant, who actually was a commander, left Detroit, and now he's working downtown. He put it all together. He's a sharp guy, and actually, to his credit, he was a friend of Michael Martin's. They were really close.
Was Michael Martin a cop?
He was.
He was, and he was the mayor's favorite security guard, or not security guard, they're called executive protection unit.
Right.
They're police officers, and that Michael Martin would always be with Kwame Kilpatrick.
So you were transferred to internal affairs, you think, because nobody else wanted to be there. You're reading these reports about officers who work under Kwame, who is essentially your boss, who appoints the chief, who appoints all the chiefs, and the chiefs go when the mayors go, correct?
Correct.
And so I mean, it's kind of like what's going on nationally right now. How do you investigate, the top dog, but yet you're looking at these memos thinking something's not right. Who do I talk to? I mean, either you bury it and ignore it, which your police officer instinct said can't do that. So you started asking questions. Somebody at the mayor's office finally found out, shut you off the computer, transfer you to narcotics.
I believe it was again,
Basically something like
12
that.
times
Moved you
in
out,
3 years.
moved you out of internal affairs.
Yeah.
So
They
and
got
you
me out of
said you were
internal affairs.
transferred 12 times in 2 years, which all of this is crazy.
True.
So where do we go? So keep talking about the two cops and what,
Yeah, so I just want to know. I mean, because you might read a report and say, "This is just party nonsense," and you might read a report about an officer misusing a car, and that might be much more believable. But I'm just curious because the party became the biggest story in Detroit for a 5-year period.
So one of the memos was on the party.
Yes.
What do you remember from the memo?
That, again, these are allegations that a woman was there. She was assaulted. She was taken to the hospital. There's no record of her being in the hospital. There were rumors that because of HIPAA, she used an officer's social security number. So if you looked up her name, you wouldn't find her even if you had sources. The complainant, and later the complainant was found deceased. It was Strawberry. I don't know her real name.
Tamara Green.
Tamara Green. That's
Within a couple days.
No, a couple months.
Couple months.
Right. There's so much speculation. Like, for instance, at the time we were issued Glocks. And it's my understanding, if I recall, she was shot with a Glock.
Right. But,
And out of an Escalade, right?
yes, and I believe by a left-handed
Right,
person.
a left-handed person. So,
Who's left-handed?
Mike
Well,
Martin.
I don't know about
knew
that.
somebody was
I don't know. I don't
They're looking at
I
me
ain't
as
touching
left-handed.
that.
Well, what the hell does that mean? I
mean-
all right, Mike Martin.
I don't know about that. But everyone on
That's
his,
the story,
That's the-
rumor,
the rumor,
the
innuendo,
conspiracy,
right, yeah,
all
that's
that
right.
stuff.
because everyone, they all drove Escalades in his thing.
How do they know it was an Escalade again? Somebody saw it.
I don't know that they knew it was an Escalade. I think they knew it was an SUV, if I remember
Okay,
correctly.
I thought
but-
someone again. There's so much rumor, innuendo.
But how does that type of party stay quiet and stay
know,
urban
it's-
legend?
it's-
Like, what
it's-
happened, Steve?
It's crazy.
What's
Like,
your guess? I know it's a guess, and
Do
it's an
I think there was a
opinion.
party? Yes. However, Mike Cox, who I knew from Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, so I got along with great. One day, I had 5 officers shot one time in number 9, and Brian Huff was killed. And Mike came in, I was a commander, came in with an envelope. He said, "Hey, Steve, just came by himself. So this goes to the family from my office." I said, "You got a minute?" "Yeah, what's up? Sit down." We start talking. And I said, "You did this whole investigation. You couldn't find any culpability?" He said, "How long did you work at homicide?" And I told him 2 different stints. He goes, "You ever go to a bar shooting?" I said, "Yeah." He's interviewed 20, 30 people. I said, "Yeah, absolutely." He goes, "We interviewed 178 people, and no one was at the party. You were. I wasn't there, but Kevin was. Mike was there, but I wasn't there." And he goes, "We got not one person to say they're at the party. Not one. I knew a lieutenant that made the party." And he goes, "Nope. It is what it is." Then someone else said, if you could track the 911 calls, they're all in order up to that date, and until at the end of the incident, and then after that, they're all scrambled, so nobody can find them. So, it's conjecture. I personally believe there was a party. Do I think he should have got, 28 years? No. Kwame? I just don't.
Right.
But
Well, what happened to the 2 officers that you had memos on? Did they ever get investigated by anybody else? Because
Yeah.
I don't remember.
And they were disciplined. They were found to be misusing the cars. I believe they found there was an accident. There may have been some drinking or
in
something
a bar.
going on, right?
they're getting paid to be at the bar and drinking, They get paid overtime.
And they were
when went to
disciplined.
DC. The ironic part is,
No one cared about that, though. Everyone just wanted to know about the party
Yeah.
and Tamara Green, the exotic dancer, and now she's dead, and what happened to her.
Right.
And, I mean,
That's an unsolved case.
yeah, I spent 2-3 years on that story, and people will ask me, and I'll say, I think that it wasn't a party the way people picture a party. Like there's 200 people at a party. I think it was a place where 5 or 6 guys went and a few girls came over and they hung out. And I think they did it on lots of occasions, and there wasn't a day or a date. But I think
would agree with that.
on some day, EMS went there, police went there. We talked to these people. They said they were there. They said they filled out reports that they were there, and the reports went missing.
Yes.
And the 911 calls went missing. It's another one of these things. I mean, it's kind of like the Epstein thing. Everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong.
Interesting.
And then finally, the family. Jonathan Bond, Tamara Green's son, is still a friend of mine. We talk all the time. But the family sued, and they went to try and sue in federal court. And this thing went on for over a year. And finally, at the very end, Judge Rosen said, look, all the questions you have are supposed to be in the file, and the file is like this big, and everybody testified it used to be this big, but I can only deal with what I can see, and all I can see is this file right here. And after all that time, he ended up not allowing it to go to trial, so we never got a lot of people on the stand like you would to find out under oath, were you at a party? Under oath, did this happen? But man, we talked to a lot of people who...
Well, Nelthrop sued and won, didn't he?
Yeah, Nelthrop won, and Gary Brown won.
And didn't a sergeant write a book?
I don't know.
I thought a sergeant wrote a book. Gary Brown sued and won a ton. I didn't, and now I'm the athletic director of Cabrini High School. So,
What would you have sued about, Steve?
defamation of character, I'll tell you what, mentally, it took its toll on me. It took its toll major on me. And you get transferred that many times. And eventually I got demoted in a quote-unquote restructuring by the chief at the
And
time.
you think this is all because you brought these memos that were sitting on your desk to the people above you?
Not just that. I've been known to be outspoken and maybe go against the grain. And I have no problem saying you're wrong. This is my opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but I think you're wrong. But part and parcel, yeah.
But Gary Brown was fired immediately after you gave the memos to Gary Brown. Gary Brown took them to the administration, and then Gary Brown was gone.
within a
Right?
week.
Yeah, I mean,
He took it to Kwame?
or the
it took to Jerry Oliver.
Well, either the police chief or the mayor or both.
I was transferred to 12. I know that because the commander there was close with the mayor and stuff. And I found this out later. I was sent there so she could keep an eye on me. It's whatever. I did my job. And
Why weren't you ever terminated then? What was your opinion on that?
I didn't do anything wrong.
Well, Gary Brown didn't either.
Okay, the difference is I was in a union.
You were in a union because you weren't a chief.
The way the unions work, police officers in one union, lieutenants, sergeants, and investigators in a second union, and then commanders or inspectors, well, now they're called captains, are in a third union. But when you're a deputy chief, it's an appointment. Like under Coleman Young, when you before they had a union, you signed an open-ended resignation letter, open-dated, and then you didn't like it, you were gone. That's how it was for a long, even after he died. That's how it was. So we got a union, and then it's crazy because I ended up becoming president of the union after I got demoted, and they made a bunch of new people, and a bunch of people quit, and they said we need a president, and so there's myself and a guy named James Moore, and him and I were the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. We did everything, and because people were terrified of the chief at the time that they would lose their job or whatever. So, I did what was right, not the right thing. The right thing would have been to poo-poo it, and I probably could have got promoted quicker.
So for a lay person like myself, what is someone supposed to do? I mean, even if, again, there's a national tie here, there's whistleblowers. But what do you, in your old department, if somebody above you is doing something wrong, you're getting memos, you're getting information, how do you safely investigate that?
You didn't.
You didn't, and you can't, and you couldn't.
Yeah, basically. I mean,
So they get a free reign. They're like kings and queens.
Well, kind of was that way for a while.
And do you think it's not like that anymore?
No, I give Craig credit. He's been scandal-free since he got here. He got here in 2013 because prior to that, there were scandals with all the chiefs. And we had, starting when I came on in 85, Bill Hart, who was the chief They found, what, $250,000 in his ceiling?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was
Let's go through all the scandals for all the chiefs. Let's do that. Let's do that type of podcast.
I mean, and he was a cop's cop. But whatever happened, again, I was new then.
He went to prison for that.
I know he did. And he ended up selling shoes at the
Sibley's.
at the Sibley's on the corner of Woodward and Campus Martius.
Yeah.
And then he died. He was a good street cop, good narcotics cop. Whatever happened, happened. Jerry Oliver came in here. He was in over his head, I felt. He came from Virginia. And it was a non-union police department. This is old school police union. So he struggled quite a bit. Then they had just turnover. Benny was here for a while.
Less than a couple of years. Couple was only there less than
Just a couple of years. And,
Ella was there for a brief period. Neither of them had scandals while they were there.
Ella
McKinnon
was there 3 years. McKinnon was there for a while. Warren
Barron
Evans,
was there.
Warren Evans, Godby.
Warren Evans, Godby.
You know, I mean, you can go.
Is that unusual? I've never researched this. And if you go across the country in the major cities, I mean, the police chiefs serve the mayor.
True.
And so is there, it seems like there's way more turnover here in Detroit.
There was.
And now
The
There's
average big city chief lasts 3 years.
Now, Chief Craig, I don't know why my brain
He's
is
now the
working.
deputy mayor too, so he's obviously getting along with.
He's the
Mayor
deputy
Duggan.
mayor?
Yeah, he's the deputy
Yeah,
mayor
I don't know
if I
and
knew
the
that.
chief of police.
When McKinnon left, they made Duggan made him the deputy mayor.
And from what I read and can tell, and people seem to really like and respect Chief Craig.
Yeah.
He seems to be doing a great job.
Yep.
He always jokes that I get more airtime than him.
Yep.
But he's good on TV.
But it's close.
But he's good on TV. I think people listen and respect.
He shows
him.
up at the scenes. People like that. I mean, he's out there. They feel
This
like he's.
AC Steve used to show up at the scenes.
Oh, yeah, he
I saw
did.
lots of video of him at the scenes.
Yeah.
And I think people listen to you too. I thought you were great on camera. I thought your hair looked good on camera.
My hair. Oh, thank you very much.
What is it like to be out on scene? What is it like to be, on the streets of a major city, and especially a violent one, and the kinds of stories that you had to deal with personally?
You know, sometimes I miss that. I know it sounds crazy. People go, you're so glad you're done with that. And I said, no. That's where you meet the officers. And I think, and I've said this to my counterparts that are still at the department, there's a little bit of a disconnect between some of the command staff and the officers. Because while we're up in our little ivory tower making decisions, we're not talking to the little guy. You can give them everything in the world. You can have an employee who's disillusioned, and you can give him a $20,000 raise, and guess what? They're going to be disillusioned because you should have made him $30,000, whatever. So people are going to be disillusioned. So when I would go out to a scene, I got to interact with the officers, and unfortunately, every scene usually was pretty bad, except for the hog. Remember that one? Yeah. That was kind of comical. Anyway, you go out to the scene, you walk up, and I've told young command officers, what do you do when you get to the scene? Oh, I go right up there and talk to the sergeant and say, what's going on? And I tell them what to do. I go, no. You walk up, especially if there's a child killed or something, you go up to the officers on the perimeter. You guys good? You okay? Yeah, we're boss. Okay, who's in charge of the scene? That sergeant is, or lieutenant. Okay, you guys are good though. Yep. Make the rounds with the officers. And as you head towards the supervisor, the family is usually out there, crying and stuff, which is understandable. Mm-hmm. And they want justice done immediately. I would go to the supervisor and say, what do you got? And what's going on? And he would tell me. I'd say, okay, hold on. I'll be right back. I go back to the family and say, and they're screaming, you guys aren't doing anything. I say, hold on. You don't have to yell at me. I just got here. What's your concern? Okay, don't go anywhere. I'm going to find out the answer to these questions, and I'll be back. And I go to the media. Say, listen, let me handle this. I will come here. We will do this. I promise. And they respected that. So then I'd find out what's going on. Say, okay, Lieutenant Sergeant, what do you think? Well, sir, I think we should go in. Well, sir, I think he left. Well, sir, cool. Let's do this. So we need a dog. Do we need a helicopter? Do we need a command post? What do we need? Okay, let's do it. Because your supervisors on the street are interacting with us every day, and you're up in your tower. So you don't see that a lot. Plus, it shows the troops that you respect their leader, and you do it. So then you get done, and you go to the media, and right away, and I'd say, hold on. Don't turn the cameras on yet. Here's the deal. This is what I can tell you on camera. Now, if you hear other things, a source, and you know this, so they'd say, go, and they'd ask me questions, I'd give them the answers, and then they'd get off and say, and sources tell us. Okay, I freely admit that I gave them things off camera, but when other sources, that gets out, you as a citizen who may have seen something say, well, I'm not the first one telling them this. And that's how word gets out.
First, I have a question about chain of command, but I'm not familiar with the hog story. What happened there?
God, what a cluster. So my partner, James White, who I think is great. I think he's the smartest guy up there. He's great. I love him. And I used to make fun of him because he has administrative. I had patrol and investigations, and he had all the administrative stuff. And for a while, they gave him animal control. So Ron comes out about a pig in a basement. And so I'm laughing at him. He goes, "Are you kidding me?" You know, because I'm the police. I said, "Yeah, I'm dogging the hell out of him." So he goes to scene number number 2, I believe, and there's this pig in the basement. And I get a call. "You need to get out here." "What do I need to get out there? It's a pig." "That's your thing." He goes, "Because the allegations are this pig is eating hookers." Like, what? Okay, what the hell? So I go out there, and I mean, there's cops everywhere, and people meeting. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Well, there's a truck parked here, and it just reeks. I'm thinking, oh, God, it smells like a dead body. Well, the word on the street is that he was getting hookers and feeding them to the hogs after he killed them, because the hog will eat everything but it's either hair or teeth. They eat everything, hogs will. I'm like, oh, for God's sake. So I go to this house, and sure enough, there's this hog in the basement. The guy taking the stairs out. It's like a cellar, so the hog couldn't climb out. It's just filled with feces. It, bad. So I said, okay. So I go over to this truck, and it just reeks, and it's covered with a tarp. I said, well, what'd you guys find? They go, well, we didn't go in there. I said, why not? We're the police. Well, it stinks. I said, give me a pair of gloves. So I jump up on the pickup, and I throw the tarp off, and it's just raw meat, just from somewhere. But there's a bunch of purses there. Those must belong to the hookers that the pig was eating. I'm like, what? Where are you guys getting this information? So we sent a guy out to look for this perpetrator. And in the meantime, we call for a guy to pick up the pig. Because what do you do to the pig? So the media, as a rookie person from 7, I think it was, says, could you describe the scene in the basement? And I said, yeah, it looks like a pigsty. And that's what it was. It turns out he wasn't eating hookers. And it turned out, I found the difference between a pig and a hog. There's a difference. A hog weighs, I think, 300 pounds. So you have to have a hog removal, not a pig removal. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
See,
I'm learning a lot
you're up
right
here in
now.
this tower. You got to get out there. And the guy also had a hog in Highland Park at another house. And then the guy ended up dying. But
Wait, were the hog? What happened to the women?
it wasn't that.
Urban legend.
Nobody was killing anybody.
Nobody was
eating anybody.
killing anybody. The guy
Oh, my
was
God.
a hoarder. He's picking up person. He may have been picking up hookers. Who knows?
Although there were 2 hunters in Michigan up in the Mayo area who were
I remember
fed to pigs. And that's how they got rid of the bodies.
I remember that case.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
So that's the pig case.
Let's go back to chain of command.
Chain of command.
I watched an interview with you. Where you were talking about the unfortunate killing this week of Officer McLean,
Right.
which is really upsetting to everybody.
It is.
And that Sergeant Kidd, who's still on the force, he allegedly stayed in his car, didn't go towards the scene. And I thought you did a good job explaining what's supposed to happen at a scene. And then I want you to take it to the next step. Is like, because not all the time does a chief or an assistant chief or a deputy chief come to the scene. So, I assume it's the highest ranking officer who's making the decisions in directing traffic. But why don't you lay it out for me what's supposed to happen, what you think happened in this Sergeant Kidd case, in your opinion on all this?
So they made the scene, and McLean, they told him there's an individual in the house with a gun, and they ran out. And they said, they said the door was open. He went up there and the door was locked.
When you say they made the scene, the police officer
officers.
showed up on the scene
Yes.
without a sergeant or lieutenant.
Which is normal.
Which is normal.
Yeah,
They're making a run.
you get runs all the time. Man with a gun. It is what it is.
Okay.
So they show up, and they said he's in the house, and they go up to the door and it's locked. Here's our keys. They call for a supervisor. Now, all the supervisor has to do is say, en route, set up a perimeter, stand by. 2 sentences.
Don't go in.
Just stand
Wait.
by. I'm on the way. Stand by. And then none of this probably would have happened because it's your supervisor. It's a paramilitary organization. You listen to your supervisor. That wasn't said. Just, I'm en route.
Now, was this Sergeant Kidd who said that?
Yeah,
I'm en route.
Yeah, I think it's the codes are. He would have been 12-7 or 12-7-1. So 12 is 12th precinct. Any 70 series of sergeants, any 60 series of lieutenants. So it's 12-7 or 12-7. No, wait, whatever. So he's en route. Now, I've been there. I'm not going to second guess McLean because I've been there. I've gone on houses with people who have guns, and you think I can handle the situation. Been there, done that. I mean, you know there's a guy there with a gun, but you don't know his intent. So they go in there and they clear the first floor, no problem. Second floor, no problem. Then the lights go on in the basement, and they make the decision to go downstairs. And I'm told that tactically they did it right, but the guy was laying in ambush. And unfortunately, they both got shot. Still, the supervisor's not there. Now the officers are yelling, officer down, shots fired. So now a supervisor from 10 responds. The supervisor on the desk who's in charge of the precinct, he says, oh, crap, I better get over there. And the other supervisor, I'm told, doesn't say anything. And he's a block away. So then, according to the chief, several officers ran by the car. And
Ran by
police
Sergeant
car.
Kidd's car.
Yeah, when the words "officers down" go out,
Right,
everybody
I get it. But
races there.
One thing I'm trying to piece together in my brain is how they knew he didn't go in. So you're saying this is new information for me.
Who didn't go in?
I said Sergeant Kidd.
Oh, well, because he's got a camera in his car. They know where he was.
yeah,
They know where he was.
He's
Is
got a
it
radio
the-
traffic.
So they knew where he was.
He's got his car
So
camera.
back at the headquarters, they can see that he's sitting a block away in his car, and he didn't leave it.
well, it's my understanding that they have body cam, and they have the camera in the vehicle. Plus, all the cars have GPS. So as they're breaking down the shooting, I don't think they realize it at first.
Not immediately, no.
Right, it's a
But
couple days.
within
Pretty
48
quick.
hours.
Yeah, with a couple days. Okay, let's break this down. We have an officer dead. Let's see where we dropped the ball. Oh, wait a minute. Where's that sergeant at? Let's go back. There's no radio transmission. I was like, what's going on? Let's start checking. And they check the body cams. And he's sitting in his car. Now, I'm told that he said, I was waiting for the guy to come through the...
In case he was running this way, I was going to keep an eye out for him.
And he had a rookie in the car with him.
Right.
And as these guys go running by him, he makes the statement, they must know something we don't know. Well, okay, if you're the supervisor, then you need to find out what the hell they know, why they're running that way. Or if in your mind they are in imminent danger, pull them back and let's set up a perimeter because the guy's there. It's my understanding that none of those measures were taken and that he just stayed there. Didn't go to the hospital. I don't know his mindset. I don't know. I know he did 2 tours in Iraq. He's a Marine, but I don't know what was going through his mind. And I actually spoke to at Thanksgiving. I spoke to a retired general who's a friend of mine, and he had heard the chief's remarks, and he said, "You know what? Cowardice goes to the state of mind. You don't know what the person's thinking, and if you run from a scene, that's just you. If you don't take charge, it's dereliction of duty, and in the military." Dereliction of duty is a much harsher offense than cowardice because now you're putting other people in danger. So he was questioning a lot of these things, and I'm sure it'll all come out in the wash eventually. So I don't know.
What, do you know
But,
this,
but he has a history. This wasn't the first time he was accused of being a coward. In 2014, was it? He had a female partner, and there was a situation where his partner was being assaulted, and he didn't step up. Allegedly,
He seen as a juvenile, I believe, attacking a, I don't know if it's his partner or another officer, but he stepped out of the detention facility and said, "Hey, she's being assaulted," and he didn't take any action. And it's my understanding that he was fired at a trial board by 3 command officers, and then the union got him a deal where he pled to 68 days, I think it was, and he got his job back. Well, in the Detroit promotional system, the way the rules work is if you don't have any discipline for 2 years, you can take the test and get promoted. Well, it had been 2 years. He had no discipline after that, so he took the test for sergeant, got promoted, and this happened.
kind of odd. The chief went back and looked at the signature because he had to sign that, and he's like, I don't recognize that as my signature even, which is just another odd part of the story.
Well, he's sitting there thinking, how the hell did this guy get promoted if he had, someone did the research and said, he got fired in 2014 for cowardice, he got his job back. To which the chief goes, wait a minute, how could that happen? I want to see that order. I don't remember that. Well, then he goes back, and the chief has this His little thing, he signs everything in green ink. He just does. It was in purple ink. And usually when you sign for instance, if he's going to sign for you, he would sign Kevin Dietz for Mike Morse, right?
Sure.
For. This just had James E. Craig signed
In purple.
in purple. So he didn't sign it.
He says he doesn't recognize it. We don't know if it matched his signature, but he probably is embarrassed. I mean, or I don't know if embarrassed is the right word, but he's probably mortified that this guy was back on the force, if this is true, what he's hearing.
Oh,
It's even more tragic, I think, in all of this, because who knows what. I know if you're a police officer, you're supposed to go do this. I mean, that's what you sign up for. But when something happens, you don't know exactly what your body's going to do until you're in that scene.
Oh, no doubt.
But what really, really gets me in this story is that the person who shot Officer McLean never should have been out there. He should have been locked up.
well, he done his time in jail. He was on parole. He was an East Warren boy, according to the tattoo. So he's on the west side of the city.
It's a gang.
It's East Warren boys. So he had a tattoo on his arm. So anyway, he's on parole. Okay. They go the first time 2 weeks prior to that, and maybe the way the report was titled, he went over and shot up the house because he's trying to hit on the 16-year-old girl. Is his girlfriend maybe?
Right.
And a 32-year-old woman. Anyway, so he goes over to the house, shoots it up. So the question is, and I don't know this, was a report entitled MDP, malicious destruction of property, assault with intent, felonious assault, whatever. And if you're an investigator, detective, obviously if it's felonious assault or assault with intent, you can prioritize that more than malicious destruction of property. They also said the name was spelled wrong. If they just had the name spelled right, they could have ran it, seen that he was wanted, was on parole. They could have revoked his parole immediately. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Yeah, you revoke his parole, maybe you can lock him up right away. There's no guarantee you're going to give him custody right away. But it could have been prevented. Could have been. And both at the scene that night and if it had been investigated properly, it could have been prevented.
Because DPD, they have a lot of resources. They can have a standoff with a gunman for hours. They have SWAT teams. They have all kinds of highly trained people and equipment. So if there's a gunman in a house and the decision is made to step back and wait it out, they certainly can do that. We see that happen quite a bit.
All the time because you have negotiators.
So I'm going to just keep asking questions because I'm a little confused.
Okay.
So you mentioned that other sergeants from other departments, 10, 11, 12, they're all descending on the scene.
Yes.
He was sitting there already ahead of that. He was already there. Is that what the cameras in?
McLean, you mean?
No.
Hill.
Oh,
A kid.
Kid?
A kid, I'm sorry.
Kid.
He's a block away.
Right, but he was there before these people are descending.
Oh, yeah.
So so he was there first.
He doesn't know there's an officer shot.
But he doesn't try to go take care of the perimeter of the situation.
Initial scene.
He's
apparently
there.
not.
He's just.
But that's his job, right?
It is his job. You're supposed to go there and take control. And apparently he didn't.
And that was before, and he was there before McLean was shot. So had he done his job, gone to the scene, allegedly gone to the scene, had he been there, then he would have set up the perimeter, said, "Don't go in." He could have been the one taking control, saying, "Hey, McLean, partners, don't go in."
He would have assessed the situation.
And
said,
he was in
okay.
place that he should have been able to do that.
Sure.
That's what you're reading and seeing.
You show up and say, what do you got, McLean? McLean says, we heard 2 weeks ago, shots fired, da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. They say he's got a gun in there. Really? And, is it going to be suicide by cop or whatever? Okay, so then you say, okay, I've got a barricaded gunman. The supervisor declares a barricaded gunman. Then they get the SWAT team out there, the command post, all the notifications come downhill. And then your upper management starts filtering in because you get a barricaded gunman,
How often do police officers, like what happened in this case, you said you did it, you said he did it tactically properly, but you did say technically they're supposed to wait for a supervisor. So how
If
often?
told, if ordered to. So you call it in. You're like, I'm about to go
But
do this.
was there, did somebody say don't go in? Did you tell part of the story? So he said he asked for backup or supervisor,
right?
not backup. And that supervisor did not say don't go in.
That's my understanding, yeah.
And the supervisor he called was Kid?
Well, you call dispatch, and dispatch sends the supervisor that's on the street.
And it's our understanding that this was they sent Kid.
Yeah.
And he didn't
Right.
say what he
just
should have said.
He said, I'm on the way.
So Officer McLean thought, okay, I can go in. They went in tactically correct.
I don't know if he thought he could go in. I don't know how long it took before McLean, I don't know. How long was it from the initial, I need a supervisor, till, you know what, let's just go in? I don't know what the time frame was.
Does that happen? Does that happen?
You know what, when I was at the 9th Precinct, there was a supervisor that no one trusted her street sense. So they would call for a supervisor, and dispatch would say, 970, then you make the scene. She'd come on the air, and then you'd hear, you know what, radio, we don't need a supervisor, we got this. Because sometimes people exacerbate the situation, make it worse than it really is. So if you have a supervisor you trust, cool, I'm waiting. Someone you're like, uh-oh, let's see if we can handle this, and you cancel the supervisor. I don't know that much about Kidd, if he was a good supervisor, poor, I don't know. But McLean, I don't know how long the time lapse was, but McLean, as 18 years, 17 years veteran, well respected, has that street sense, and you know that, well, you think, I can handle this.
Yeah.
Kidd was
nobody's second guessing him.
No, Kidd was a 21-year veteran, though. He should have had a training. He should have known what you're supposed to do. It also said, the chief said that at one point when the police officers were running by to try and get to the scene, he said to another officer, I don't know if it's the officer, his partner, or another officer, but he said, we should take cover, which is really not what you're supposed to do if you're in charge. You're supposed to go make sure everybody's safe.
Yeah, you are. That's your job. Like, if you know something I don't know, I need to find out what you know. Why are you running? Is the guy up there with a gun? Let's go get him. Because as a supervisor also, you're my supervisor, and I may be a hot-tempered guy. You want to make sure I don't beat the hell out of this guy who just shot a cop. Your job is to control the scene.
Right. Horrible, horrible story. Now, did they catch the shooter that night?
Yes.
That night, they're in the house. They
Yes.
caught him.
Oh, no, they chased him and he shot him. He was shot.
I don't know if I read that.
Yeah, he
But
was shot.
we were told that he's going to be in the Wayne County Jail as of this afternoon.
Later today.
Good.
Yeah. So he made it. Okay. Well, our condolences go out to obviously Officer McLean's family.
Right.
Horrible situation.
And again, I mean, you just have to mention again that the number of police officers who put their life on the line all the time. You just got to love these cops who do it right. And I mean, you saw it daily when you were on the force.
So let me. Okay. So there's this thing I've been saying for years and years, and people look at me like I'm nuts. But I truly mean this. There are cops and there are police officers. And all cops are police officers, but not all police officers are cops. So, for instance, if a police officer comes to your house and you make a complaint, they take the report, thank you, here's a card, the detective will call you, blah, 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 and they go back and handle their run. Or they may pull you over and write a ticket. Anything to keep the supervisor off their butt. So that's what a police officer does. The cop goes to your house, you give him the stuff, he or she delves deeper into the description, whatever, and goes looks for the guy. I'm not waiting for that. I'm going to go find this guy myself. If he pulls you over, he's not looking to get you on a traffic offense. He's looking to see if you got dope, gun, if you're wanted. When you pull up next to the guy and the guy gives you the felony look, which you learn on the street, it's like, okay, he's dirty.
The felony look.
Oh, God, yes.
Let me see it.
I've never committed a felony.
Kevin, give me the felony look.
I don't have a felony.
You can tell there's certain things that you're driving down, certain ways they move, certain ways they look.
Exactly.
That person, something ain't right. And then you just go up and say, or you try to go and say, hey, and they take off running, throw a gun or do whatever. And so that's what a cop goes. McLean was a cop. He went the extra miles. Like, we're going to take care of it. That's what a cop does.
I just learned something. I never knew the difference. I mean,
Well,
what you guys think the difference is between
I don't know
cop
if everyone thinks that's me.
That's your thing.
There was years ago I was a cop, then became an administrator. But
Then you became a police officer.
yeah, basically. Yeah. And I've been criticized for saying that. But I get criticized by police officers for saying, because I respect everyone who wears a badge. I do. But I have the utmost respect for a cop because they're out there, they're putting their ass on the line for total strangers. That's what a cop does.
Interesting. That's an interesting story because I have a buddy who's a trooper, and those are some legit cops. And
You never know what you're walking up on, that's for sure. If you're pulling people over, you never know.
They all do a good job, but it's just interesting how troopers have to be called troopers, and
And have to wear their hat all the time.
Deputies are with the sheriff's
Yeah.
department and
I know.
police officers.
they do have to wear the hats. You guys don't
I-
have to wear the hats.
They were-
You hate hats, right?
I hate hats. I have hair on my head. I hate hats.
Because you don't want to ruin that nice do.
That
I get
goes
it.
back to that. You got nice hair. That goes back to the scene with the guy with the hat we were talking about earlier.
Right.
It was probably the worst scene I've ever had. I've had several. I forgot another one. But in this particular case, I was working what they call 2400. 7 nights till 3 o'clock in the morning. You're like the night chief. You're in charge of everything. Anytime a scene comes out, you respond. It's command officer. It's about, I'm getting off at 3. Run comes out. 2 people shot. And I want to say it was St. Mary's on the west side. It was number 6. And I'm thinking, crap, you know what? Just go. You're getting off work, but what the hell? Check it out. And I get there, and there's this officer outside, and he's throwing up. What the hell? There's another officer, and he's crying. I'm like, okay, what do you got? Like, it's terrible. And I walk in there, and I've been coaching for, at the time, maybe 15 years, 10 years. And there's these 2 little boys, and they're in their little white T-shirts, little white underwear, and they were duct taped at the ankles and behind their back, and they've been executed. And I was a mess. And it turns out it was a dope ripoff. The babysitter had ripped off the dope dealer, and the dope dealer came back and wanted the money. And she said, "Can I give him the money?" I said, "Give us the money, or we're going to shoot the kid." And she didn't believe him. So they killed the 2 little boys. It's just horrendous, just messed up. And so I make all the notifications. It's going to be a big thing. And put the tape out and secure the perimeter. And the father shows up. He's intoxicated. And he went to see his kids. And I get it to a point. I don't want you to see your kids like that, but I get it. So I start wrestling with this father to hold him back. Because I'm by myself, because the other officers are taking care of the scene. And there's a news crew out there, and they're filming it. And my boss walked up and said, "What are you doing?" Da-da-da-da-da. And he goes, "Where's your hat?" I said, "Are you serious?" I said, "I'm just fighting with the father. This kid just lost his 2 kids." He goes, "Well, you know what the chief thinks about hats?" I said, "You know what? I'm out of here. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians," and I walked away. Like, you guys got this. Put on your freaking hat and go for it. But be careful when you get in there, because it was probably... That was a messed up scene. That was messed up. And then the one where the guy, the one where he killed the couple in Allen Park and threw him in the river. Remember that one?
Not really.
That was one of I screwed up. So I'm working, I go home, get a call at 6 o'clock in the morning. "Hey, we got a floater in the river. We got a body in the river." Like, okay. That happens. People commit suicide all the time. It happens. So I get to work, and the sergeant said, I said, "So, what do you got?" He goes, "Well, got this body in the river." I said, "Oh, where's that?" He goes, "Well, it's doesn't have a head or legs." Or I said, "Dude, that's not a body. That's a torso. What? Are you serious? I thought you were talking that it's a suicide." He goes, "Oh, no." And he's talking to me. The phone rings. I said, "Would you talk to me?" He goes, "Oh, okay." He goes, "They got another torso." I said, "Okay, stop it. Don't be a jerk." He goes, "There's another torso." Holy shit. So we go to the first scene. It was the old Angel Island, I believe it was called, right off of, between Grosse Pointe Park. And there's the Border Patrol's coming in with this torso. And this guy walks up from Channel 2. And he goes, "What's going on?" I said, "You can't come here. It's a crime scene. Please put your stuff over there." He goes, "No problem. Understand." Get this guy up. It's obviously a guy. They took his arms, his legs, and head off. So then we go to Belle Isle, because now we've got a woman, and all we have is a rose tattoo, and no head, no arms. I'm like, "Oh God, this is messed up." So then I get a call. "You need to get back here. Channel 2 found something." Like, what the hell did Channel 2 find? Come on. So I go back to Angel Island. Apparently, when I sent this guy away, this fisherman walked up. He goes, "What's going on?" Some old guy said, "Oh, they found a body." "That's a shame." And he went to go fish. Well, that particular time, and the Detroit River is never this clear, but it was that morning. Told Channel 2, "You need to look at this." Well, there are 2 suitcases out there that been thrown in the river with the DeWalt saws and the heads and the legs and the arms and the suitcase had popped open. And Channel said, "You got to look at this." And I went, "Oh my God, you can't put this on the air." They go, "No, but we want to let you know." I said, "Okay, we're going to need the tape and everything." The whole thing was right there. Unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So the one time I do the thing right, don't get away from my crime scene, I sent the guy to the crime scene.
I mean, you watch a show called Ray Donovan?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. That's the
Okay,
kind of
well,
stuff we're
last-
talking about, right?
They found two heads in the bowling bags.
Yeah, they just last
night.
week. Yeah, last week that was
sorry,
the same kind of
No,
thing.
no,
but it's I've always wondered this though. I mean, and you worked homicide, and you were there to see all the reports, and I mean, I know statistically, Detroit per capita is one of, if not the most violent cities in America, especially when it comes to homicides and murders. But I've long often thought that it's really a lot of gangs killing other gangs or drug dealers killing people involved in drug deals, much more
Than random
than
shootings.
like random shootings, or I mean, I've always felt, and I've worked in the city for 25 years. I've always thought it was very safe to go to the city as long as you didn't stumble too far into something, or if you weren't involved in something. And I've never seen any statistics that said, 80% of them or 90% of them are targeted or are attributed to gangs. And maybe Gang Squad knows those numbers. I don't know.
I would agree with you. I would say probably 80% are known perpetrators. When you talk about stumbling into things, sure, some people do walk into a gas station. I don't know why they're getting gas at 3 o'clock in the morning, or why they're getting milk, or what. I still can't figure it out. And they get robbed, and they may fight, and they get shot. But normally, it's gang stuff, domestic, or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. It's I had or robbery. There can be robbery. I had a robbery once as a cab driver, and he got robbed in front of Henry Ford Hospital on the boulevard, and they shot and killed him. And I'll never forget his girlfriend. Her name was Sachiko Woods. Never forget. She came in one day and she said, "Listen, that's my boyfriend." She gave me his picture. She goes, "Please don't forget him. I don't want him to be a statistic." It's one of those things like, okay, I'll take this one personally. So I did, and we found this guy. They said, if you find government, he'll tell you who did it. So we find this guy named Government. Bring him in. He confessed everything. I'm like, holy crap. That was easier than I thought. He goes, "Yeah, I was with so-and-so. I was with Mike, Steve, and Kevin." Okay. Get a statement, good to go. Get the warrant, good to go. Mike comes in and says, "Government wasn't there." "What do you mean?" He goes, "He wasn't there." "Kevin, government wasn't there." "Steve?" "Nope." "Okay, what's going on here?" He made a full confession. He goes, "He wasn't there. He wanted to be part of our gang. We did the shooting. We robbed the guy. We killed him. We went to government's house. We told him what we did. He just wanted to fit in with us. He had nothing to do with it. Don't send him to jail." 3 independent people. So now I got to go in front of a judge and say, "Your Honor, I want you to dismiss the complaint." She goes, "Detective," or lieutenant, whatever it was at the time, "you do realize he made a full confession?" "Yes, ma'am, I do." "And you still want him released?" "Yes, ma'am, I do." Da-da-da-da-da. And they released him, and he wasn't the guy involved. The other 3 pled out, and we solved the case. But that was one of the rare ones where it was just not domestic, not gang-related. Yeah.
That's a crazy story. We could do a TV you could do a TV show with these
sorry.
stories.
I'm sorry.
But Steve, do you to Kevin's point, do you think Detroit, you look at the numbers, you look at the statistics, people always allege that people are playing with numbers or whatnot. Is Detroit getting safer? Is there more crime?
Are there 2 Detroits? Is there a safe Detroit and an unsafe Detroit?
I think that the first part of the question, I do believe crime is down. Since the chief got here, crime went down. Now, granted, I'd have to look at the stats compared to how much the population decreased. But I do think I know there's less homicides. When I worked in homicide, we were getting 1.5 a day. We were getting 500 plus homicides a year. Like, how do you solve that? Now was it 270 or 250 last year?
Right.
Okay. And granted, there was 1.5, I think, or whatever it was, a million when I was there.
And crack cocaine was
Crack was
had gone
huge.
crazy, and everybody was killing
it was
everybody.
Terrible. Yeah, it was terrible.
It was
So I think
bad
the
era
overall
everywhere.
crime has come down. Do I think downtown is safer? Are there two different Detroits? Yeah. If there's parts of Detroit neighborhoods that are really nice, I think, and the citizens care and they take care of their stuff, and there's other parts people just giving up on. Parts of the east side, parts of the west side are just, you go down the street and you go, there used to be houses here and it's all field, or there's vacant houses and selling crack and there's hookers everywhere, and you're like, wow, it's the old broken window theory. One thing leads to another, and boom, it's done. So I do think Detroit is safer. I do think they should need a bigger police department, quite honestly. And I do think that you could get more officers if they were able to give them more money or better benefits. But nationwide, it's hard getting police officers because of the current climate. People just don't want a few bad cops running for everybody.
Do you think the chief's green light program is helping deter crime, or do you think that's just kind of window dressing?
I think it does, and some people mock it. It may give you a false sense of security because you say, I can walk in the store at 3 o'clock and want to buy milk, we've got a green light. Well, if you're waiting around the corner, you don't care about the green light. There have been times when people look at the green light kind of, oh, well, because the officers get there. The good thing about green light, if it's real time, if you two are walking and they can say, two white males, one has a check shirt on, gray jacket. So if I pull up, I see you, that's my guy. That helps. But I got to get there right away. So it has pluses and minuses. I like the fact that the community is involved. Part of the green light is you have to stop by the establishment so many times and sign a piece of paper that you were there. That ensures that the cops have to come by. And as opposed to the old days when you own a party store, you want popping chips, and that's how the cops, that's not the way you go.
Free cup of coffee.
Free cup of coffee, yeah. So, when I was a sergeant, there was a gas station at 6th and Telegraph, a Mobile. And every time we come in, he goes, I get you a free cup of coffee. I said, no. Why? I said, when I'm unemployed, I'll be back. Then let's see if you give me a cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, that's how it used to be. So it has its pluses and minuses. It's hard to monitor. I don't know how many, 10,000. How many thousands are on the green light? Do you know offhand?
No.
It started out just a handful.
Right. And I toured it when I was down at your station once, and it was impressive. There's lots of people.
Oh, the real-time
full-time
crime center?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was impressed.
It's very impressive.
And I see them out there, and yeah, it gives you a sense of security.
It does. But if you're going to a gas station at 3 o'clock in the morning, you're becoming a victim. You're letting yourself become. If you're walking the streets, you're a victim.
Yeah.
What do you think of
smart.
What do you think of the body cam? Because they say that like 98% of the time, a body cam video will exonerate the police officer. Okay, because the police officer usually does the right thing. It's very rare that the police officer does the wrong thing. But the vast majority of police officers don't want to wear body cams, maybe because they don't want to be recorded the entire time they're on their shift, not because they're going to do something nefarious. But what do you think about it? I know they also have this massive problem of trying to go through body cam when you need it and expense and cost. But what do you think about the idea of body cam?
Mixed emotions. My grandson's on the job now, and he's new. So he likes the body cam. He was accused of trying to arrest a guy with a gun, and they couldn't find the gun. And they searched the house. He's new. He didn't find the gun. But the body cam showed the guy with the gun. So that's why we locked you up. The guy's like, I had a gun. He had no business stopping me when they pulled the body cam. He goes, Grandpa, there it was. Showed him with the gun. We didn't find it, but there it was. I think they found it later.
You could see it on camera?
Yeah, you could see the guy with the gun.
Plain as day.
Yeah. And so in that case, it's good.
Good cops shouldn't care.
What?
Good cops shouldn't care if they wear a body cam. If they're treating people with respect and they're
With
doing the
respect.
right thing and they're saying the right things.
Unless the boss is going to use it to say you're not wearing your hat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Well, that happens. I mean, it really
is.
does. If you
Because you forget it's on.
Oh, yeah.
sure.
In all fairness.
I'm assuming.
I don't mean
Or
the
a body
hat.
cam.
I mean anything. You stopped too long for a cup of coffee, or you did this, or you
You
did
say
that.
something inappropriate, you tell it off color joke.
People, that's part of the problem I've heard. Those are the biggest complaints I get. Like they had a guy on a raid, and he walked in, narcotics raid, and the guy had a dog. And he said, put the dog down. No. Put the dog down. No. He said, put the effing dog down or I'm going to shoot it. He got written up for saying the F-bomb. Sometimes people don't understand, put it down. Sometimes you talk the language of the people you're dealing with. There are people, I can talk street level, I can talk intelligent, I can talk any way you want. How do you want to talk to me? Respect is earned, it's not given. It goes, if I ask you, put the dog down, No. Come on, dude. Put it. No. Look, don't be a dumbass. Put the dog down. Okay. Nah, I said dumbass. Demeanor complaint. I could have killed your dog, but I called you a dumbass. So,
Right. The whole right.
But you're
There's
right.
a lot of things here. I mean, because I think police officers get into trouble sometimes when people don't listen.
oh,
Because their adrenaline gets going,
Absolutely.
or they feel disrespected. They're in power, and I find like when I'm watching these national stories, and it's like they give a simple order. I mean, you got to follow the orders. If you don't follow the orders, it seems like sometimes that's when
Bad
bad
things
shit
happen.
happens, and you just got to follow. You got to follow orders.
you ever fire a gun?
Yes.
Fire a gun? Mm-hmm. Okay. I love this one. How come you didn't shoot him in the hand or the foot? Well, let's see. We had a 3-block foot chase. My adrenaline's going like crazy. I'm taught to shoot center mass, and I can't usually hit your hand or your foot doing this. So what the hell do you want me to do? Oh, you didn't have to, kill him
Or tase them.
or take. God forbid. You could have just said stop. How many times you hear? And the cops are getting smarter, actually. What do you always hear all the time before the tase? Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Because people hear what they want to hear and see something different. If you hear me yelling, stop resisting, and he says, so what'd you, cop was saying, he kept resisting.
You're not even supposed to shoot your gun unless you're trying to kill the person if you use it. Isn't that how you're trained?
Not killed.
Well-
stop the threat
Stop the threat.
and shoot center mass. I'm not going to be able to, if your hand is out, how am I supposed to hit your hand? My adrenaline's going. Quite frankly, and if you have a gun, my whole life's flashing in front of me like, oh crap, this could be it. So I'm going to shoot. And then they say, you never shoot 9 times. It's sympathetic firing. You don't even realize you're shooting 9 times. You're bam, 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 bam. You don't even realize the clip you're shooting. I fired 2 shots. You did? Yeah. Or maybe 3. No, your clip's empty. There's no way.
Right. Well, the whole debate, Kevin, I've gotten into this debate with lots of people, if when do you use the deadly force? I mean, like a friend of mine who's on the job, if somebody's coming at you with a knife, if someone's coming at you with a screwdriver, right? Well, somebody I know would say to them, well, why don't you just shoot him in the leg?
Yeah.
Or why don't you tase him? Or why don't you run away? And they're like, cops are trained, no, because that could poke me in the eye and kill me. That knife could hit me. And and if I hit him in the leg, they may still keep coming. And that's what the cops say. And I think, is that true?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not supposed to aim at the leg or the hand or the arm.
You're supposed to aim for center mass.
Yeah. I mean, so that's their argument, right or wrong. They got to stop them because a screwdriver could kill you.
And from 15 feet away, I think, they can still get you. But by the time you get your gun out, they can move 15 feet and stab you. Did they just say that in the movie? You run from a knife and shoot. You go after a gun and run from a knife. What,
I don't know.
Movie, the Irishman.
I haven't seen it yet. It's on my. I haven't had.
Dude.
I haven't found 3 hours. Did you love it?
I started it.
Okay, I read the book first.
Oh, good. Because now that you're retired, you can do that.
Yeah,
What?
the book was amazing, and I
Okay.
went by the house where he was allegedly killed. I went by there because it's right off of.
Who killed
The
Jimmy?
book's
Hoffa,
a different
by the way?
name. It's
called
right,
Steve-
Painted
Steve
Houses.
Does Steve know who killed Jimmy Hoffa?
I think it was Sharon. I do. I believe the guy in the movie. I believe it.
I haven't seen the movie yet.
Well, we read the book too. You gotta find some
I'm
time.
gonna do. I got
Good
a
book.
podcast to
Went
do.
by. I know. Go by the house. Went by it. Checked it out. Like okay. Went online because someone had broke into the house apparently, filmed the whole house, and good story. The whole Hoffa thing, and yeah, I believe it. Yeah, and the movie was long. I thought De Niro was okay, but I thought Pesci and Pacino were.
All right, this weekend.
Yeah, I started it last weekend, but it was one of those things. I started at like midnight.
No.
And I'm like, I can't do it. I'm going to ruin it for myself. So I stopped
No,
it.
I got there at 1:30. I picked up my daughter at the airport and said, okay. She goes, you don't watch movies. Because I don't watch much TV or anything. And my wife and her are going, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to watch this movie. In the middle of the day, I said, yep. Why not? I watched it till 4:30.
You've earned it.
I did.
You've earned it.
That's good.
And on that note,
Okay.
I have a list here of 10 other things I want to talk to you about, but we're going to do it another day.
Fine.
If you're willing.
I'm fine.
You come back?
I don't care. I'm good. If you're that
You don't
desperate for
care.
people, yeah, I'll come back.
Listen, I think
He said you're looking for interesting people.
you know
I said,
what?
and you
You're
found
the
me.
third or fourth police officer we've or cop. I'm sorry. You're the third or fourth cop.
Oh.
You like that catch?
Yeah, that's
That was
good.
pretty sharp. I gotta give you that, yeah.
That we've interviewed, and there's something about the stories. There's something about
Well, also the news is happening, right? And a lot of the news is about crime, and it's one thing for us to look at it through our eyes, but to look at it through a police officer's eyes, or someone who's worked it for 30 years, it just doesn't it change?
It enlightens me. I don't understand the chain of command. I don't understand what these cops are supposed to be doing on the scene. I'm learning, and hopefully we're educating and making this interesting for other people, because it's all over the news, and people listen and they hear Chief Craig, and then they hear the other stories, and we don't know who to believe, and we're trying to figure it out.
I understand.
And
when you have a few minutes to be able to tell the story, you really can't get that from the media, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, when people watch a podcast and they see someone like Steve's going to be here, they're like, oh, I really want to know the inner workings of it all. So you can spend some time on it.
And all the people we've actually interviewed have been cops, and from now on, that's all we're having is cops on the show. No more police officers.
Okay, no more
only
cops.
cops.
Cops, or you're not on this show.
Yeah, and actually, I want them to wear their body cams. I just decided.
Oh, do you?
Well,
Okay,
all your attorneys wear, right? All your employees
Yeah,
wear.
you gotta have a body cam and a hat.
And a hat.
And a whistle.
And a whistle.
I don't know. Did you get a whistle when
Some
you were on the
mace.
job?
When I got to the academy, they gave me a whistle and a billy club.
And they took the billy club away, gave you a flashlight, then they took the flashlight away and gave you a mace.
We had to buy the flashlight.
Yeah.
Were you a good shot?
I was decent. I was a sharpshooter. I missed expert by one shot.
One day we should go to the range.
You'll probably blow me away.
I'm weirdly a good shot. My buddy took me there the other day. He had 45s. He had a 9mm, and he's been shooting for 30 years. I got up there my first time ever shooting a pistol. This is in the last 4 months. I got all in the little zone on the head and in the chest, and he was all over the place. And I don't know what it is. What it is, I'm just calm.
And no bad habits.
And yes, and I've never been formally trained, so probably no bad habits. Yeah. But I just took a deep breath. I wasn't shaky, and it was just boom, boom, boom. And it was really fun.
Because you squeeze the trigger and pull it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not bad, but the first time I shot an AK-47, I did not realize what it was going to do.
Oh.
And I shot, and I put 2 holes in the ceiling at the range.
At Target
that we were
Sports,
at.
I'm sure they loved you.
No. We were it was a police
I'm also good at skeet shooting. I could shoot a
You know
skeet.
what? I've heard
cannot.
that, and I don't know how you guys do that. I really don't. A friend of mine said, oh, it's a lot of fun. I go, how do you do that?
All right.
Oh, you should try sober.
Try, yeah. There's a couple of...
We're going to go. We're all going to go. We're all going to do some shooting.
You've done that?
Oh, sure. I've been doing it for a long time.
Did you hit it?
Oh, yeah. I can hit 8 or 9 out of 10. So they shoot, it's done in 10s.
Okay.
And if you get
Metamora?
the
Is that where
first,
you go up there?
I've gone up at
backyard?
Drummond Island.
Backyard. Okay, well, that's
So
nice.
there's a nice course on Drummond Island that I've been to a few times now. I used to go to a camp up north called Camp Michigania, and I used to shoot there. And what happens is they give you 10. That's
Okay.
And if you get all 9, the last one they give you a messed up one, like a rabbit, like along the ground, or they give you just a
really test
and I never could get the 10th one. So I've never gotten 10 out of 10. But weirdly, I can follow it, and I have good hand-eye coordination. And I think it's because, as a kid, all I did was play video games. And I think that my hand-eye coordination is really good.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I'm a good shot. And now I'm playing. Have you guys played the new virtual reality games yet? Have you seen these? Have you seen these? So my favorite game is Zombie. There's a zombie killer called Drop Dead, Drop Zone.
Okay.
And I'm really good at that too. So, and I don't own a gun. I do not own a gun. Another weird
Really?
statistic that nobody cares. And I don't believe. I'm not gonna say I don't believe in owning guns. I just don't own a gun.
Look at all this bonus content we got on this
Right.
episode.
This is the extra.
We said
And this is
goodbye.
the
We said
extra.
goodbye, and now we got
said
bonus
goodbye.
content.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks.
And enjoy retirement.
I'm still working at Cabrini.
That's
so
true. Enjoy the kids.
I am enjoying the kids.
Thank you, Kevin.
You bet.
We'll talk soon.
Thanks.
Thank you for watching Open Mic with Kevin Dietz and Assistant Chief Steve Dolant today. Fascinating conversation. We appreciate it. If you liked it or learned something, please share it. Please like it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And have a great day.